Hey everyone, how's it going? Aaron Rift here from NoDQ.com. Welcome to a special edition of the NoDQ Panel. This is a very special edition because we're going to be focusing on one person today, and that person, if you haven't guessed already, is the big dog, Roman Reigns. Now we have our usual host of the panel, good old JM, Jeff Meacham. How you doing today, Jeff?
I'm usually the host of the panel, but I'll go ahead and say that I'm sporting the Wrestling Trivia Challenge shirt and happy to be here to discuss a very polarizing figure.
Absolutely, and we are also being joined by the greatest columnist in the history of the NoDQ Galaxy, of course, Mr. Virtue's Rage. How's it going, sir?
Great, and all I am going to say is to all the Roman supporters, this is our yard now.
There you go. And our special guest today is a very big Roman Reigns fan. David, how's it going, man?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right.
So the big topic, of course, is Roman Reigns. He's, like Jeff said, a very polarizing figure in wrestling. You have a group of people that absolutely love the guy, and then you have a group of people that absolutely despise the guy. Now, this year, we had the NoDQ.com year-end awards, and for the second year in a row, Roman Reigns was voted the worst superstar of the year. And this got a lot of people worked up, especially on Twitter. There was a lot of negative feedback about this, a lot of unhappy people. So, David, I want to start with you since you're our special guest here. What were your thoughts on the results of the awards and the outrage about Roman Reigns being voted the worst superstar of the year?
Expected. Most of the people I think that dislike Roman are very illogical. And I get it because I used to feel the same exact way about Goldberg when he had his push. When I was young, I hated it. They're shoving them down our throats. But I think where I differed was I did not embellish his shortcomings or outright lie about something he did or didn't do. And I would allow myself at times to get lost in the actual storyline of the match and enjoy the match. Now, that's what I think the Roman haters don't do, and that's whack.
You don't think he deserves to be called the worst or most disliked superstar of the year?
Oh, disliked, but the worst, I can think of a bunch of dudes in WWE worse than Roman.
Now, Roman's an incredible worker.
Now, here's the interesting thing. So in 2016, the first year he won, it was the worst wrestler of the year award, and that was totally ridiculous then because previous years, we had like the Great Khali. Those kind of guys were winning that award. And in 2016, it was Roman Reigns. Now, 2017, I changed the name of the award to the worst superstar of the year. So it's not just about the wrestling. It's about the overall character. Now, the big question is, why did people vote for Reigns as the worst superstar? Virtue, why do you think the fans of NoDQ.com, the visitors, voted for Reigns as the worst superstar of the year and for the worst wrestler in 2016 for that matter?
Well, I think it's mostly because, first of all, he had a great series of matches and fights with Braun Strowman. He was in that four-way match at SummerSlam. So, him and Cena had a solid match. So why are we talking about – it's because people don't want to like the guy that Vince McMahon forces down your throat. That's why people don't like Roman. Was the match at WrestleMania with The Undertaker underwhelming? But The Undertaker is in really no condition to compete in that main event spot like he used to. And Roman did everything he could to get through that match. I would have said John Cena, and I kind of hope that Taker and Cena at this year's WrestleMania now, because I want to see how it handles. Maybe Undertaker's more healthy. I don't know. Roman did everything he could, And the fact is, how can you call anybody the worst when they got the greatest heat? And to me, the last 12 years of wrestling, and that was the night after WrestleMania when Roman controlled the crowd. And hey, guys, why don't they allow Roman to control the crowd more often like the night after WrestleMania last year? Because that's magic. Why do they castrate him, so to speak, and Vince feeds him lines like "suffer and succotash"? I know that's not really the case anymore.
That was 5 years ago, bro.
But
I'm sure we've all said something 5 years ago that was kind of corny and stupid.
But and the thing is, when Roman stood in that ring on Raw, he was actually playing to the crowd, and they just kind of let him be. So, do you think they told him you're going to go out there and this is what's going to happen? They didn't know. They knew they were going to probably boo him. He went out and he made that moment himself in those 15 minutes.
Now, Jeff,
I believe that.
Jeff, let's get your take on it. Why do you think the visitors in NoDQ voted for Reigns as the worst superstar this year?
Honest to God, Aaron, I think it's to screw with you. I really think it is because they know that you're going to allow it to happen. It's the same reason that we almost had a superstar we can't talk about in WWE going to the Hall of Fame because they're trolling you and they're trolling NoDQ. The trolls of NoDQ are much more prevalent than guys like me and Virtue and David and everybody else. They're just they just want to screw with the rest of the NoDQ galaxy. That's what we're going to call it. I don't believe that Roman has been the worst wrestler the last 2 years, the worst superstar the last 2 years, whatever you want to call that award. I think that Roman gets a really bad rep. I will say, and I always saying this because I watched Legends with JBL last night on the network with the Outsiders, Hall and Nash. The fans always seem to take a really big dump on the anointed one, on the chosen one. They've crapped on Cena for the last 15 years. They're really crapping on Roman right now. But think about it. Hogan and all his Hogan-esque glory, even toward the end, they were starting to crap on him. They immediately crapped on Warrior. You know, it's all about the fans don't want their guy chosen for them. Yeah. They want to make the call, which is why they're trying to, get the people they want over. And Vince is going, well, it's my company. And, it's not Roman's fault. It's very much Vince's fault.
Right. Yeah. Remember when we had Austin and The Rock and the fans could choose? It's like we don't have that anymore. And I think that's a big contributor to this.
Well, we don't. Go ahead, David. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, as the fan here who goes to events, I think half of the people that boo Roman are doing it because it's fun. I'll give you a prime example. If anyone asks me, I will tell them that the greatest wrestler of our generation is Kurt Angle, and I dare you to really, really debate me. But going to events, I will tell you, when that music hit, I was like with everyone else, you suck, because it's fun. I've gone to WWE events, and the same venom that's online because you're behind a keyboard and you don't see the person is not live. I've stood in Philadelphia in the middle of Roman haters and declared like, yo, let's go, Roman. And I didn't get half of it. As a matter of fact, I had a friend with me who was a big ECW fan, and we started a chant for Roman, and half of the people booing Roman got with us because we ended up being the cooler guys in the crowd. So 50% of the people do it because it's fun. And I just want to say something about Virtue's Rage real quick. When you said the Undertaker's match, see, that's where I have a disagreement with a lot of people. That was a storyline program. Like, I watched so many people embellish and say that, oh, did you see Undertaker's hip when he hit the ring post? I'm like, do you think after 30 years Undertaker doesn't know where the hot camera is? Undertaker said, damn, because he knew he made a mistake against Roman.
Remember that dead weight spot where it looked like Roman couldn't pick him up? That was just Undertaker not doing his part of the move because think about it. All the injuries he's had, how old he is, and he still went out there, and I thought it delivered.
I think the whole match was about the young line wanted to take over the yard and the older line not wanting to give it up. I think the worst match Roman Reigns has ever had was against Triple H at WrestleMania. But that was Triple H's fault because I agree with Stone Cold. That match should have lasted all of 10 minutes, intros included. Yeah. So when I look at, I think Roman is a great storyteller in ring. No, he's not Chris Jericho, who's probably the best I've seen since Jake the Snake and maybe Roddy Piper. But he tells a damn good story. As a matter of fact, Braun Strowman owes him some money. Braun should be hitting him off with a piece of his paycheck every time he gets paid. He's carried Braun, and Braun's admitted it in his interviews. He said it. Roman tells me what I should do in a match, this, that, and the third. Roman never asked me to do something that makes him look better. And I think Roman would get in a match with you, Aaron Rifton. People on Bleacher Report would come the next night like, wow, Aaron looked incredible in that ring. But it's like, no, it's Roman that's helping them look incredible.
I think it's really the mark of a polarizing figure. I mean, we talk about Hogan, we talk about Cena, we talk about Reigns. You mentioned you were in Philadelphia. I'm assuming it was at the Rumble when he won the Rumble?
No, believe it or not, it was when he won the title.
Now, that's interesting because that night it seemed like most of the crowd was cheering for him, which is funny because at the Royal Rumble they were booing him out of the building, and then on that Raw they actually were cheering for him, and I think a lot of that was due to the effectiveness of the Vince storyline.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think that's the haters' point, Aaron, is that it took the evil Mr. McMahon to get us behind Roman.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about the haters I see online, because I'm online. Like, I troll the heck out of the haters. They're hypocritical and contradictory at best. I've often said to the haters, if you would take the boos and turn them to cheers for Finn Balor, maybe he'd be what we all think he would be in WWE. But you spend so much time booing Roman that, number one, you put him over. And having worked in the entertainment industry, I don't care whether you like it, believe it or not, World Wrestling Entertainment, whatever reaction you get is a good reaction.
Yep.
You can turn the boos to cheers. Whether you like it or
Yep.
not, it's the truth in entertainment. Period.
You
End
know
story.
what heat Roman gets too? It's because of this era of WWE. We're going to call it the WWE Network era, the YouTube era, the Facebook era, because they're doing the mixed tag challenge or whatever that's called. The ratings for the USA shows are down. They're under 3 million, and it's Roman's fault according to all the haters. But they just don't really, TV ratings are still important, but doesn't WWE still, the way they make money, it's different than it was back in the Attitude Era, back in 2005. Jeff, I see like you're stewing on this. Am I wrong when I say that?
Well, no, just think about something. When the WWE Network launched, Roman was not the guy yet. The guy at that time, I gotta go with Brock Lesnar on that one. Brock Lesnar was the guy that was marching towards SummerSlam and beating Cena for the championship, and he beat the streak at the first pay-per-view on the network. So, the fact of the matter is Brock Lesnar was the superstar at the time the network launched, and people are crapping on the product because it's, the product on TV is much more driven toward the kids, whereas the four of us are going to watch the old stuff on the network or the stuff, that's on the network right now. Yeah. I agree with that. I don't think it's a good idea on WWE's part to not appeal to their core fan base on television. But, I've said it the last couple of weeks on social media. I'm going back and watching the old stuff because I find that I will sit there and watch Raw and I'll watch SmackDown for 5 hours each week because, I gotta do my job at NoDQ, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna go back and watch the old WCW stuff, the old ECW stuff, the old WWF Attitude Era stuff because that entertains me. I'm not blaming Roman for that. I'm blaming the overall booking the last 10 years for that.
Yeah,
and maybe Jeff, we're getting older too, Jeff.
Yeah.
It's so funny you say that because I was watching. What was I watching the other day? I was watching an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. That was my least favorite Star Trek show back when I was a Star Trek fan. I still am a Star Trek fan now. But as I watch the DS9 episodes now, I go, this is a really good show. It made me think more now than it did 20 years ago when it debuted. So, my tastes have changed as I've gotten older, but the core WWE product is still, I want to see a good guy versus a bad guy, and I want to see eventually, over the course of a good storyline, well thought out, well delivered, I want to see good triumph over evil eventually.
Right.
It's not fair to Roman, guys, really. I mean, it's really not fair to Roman, and I think that he is the face of the company in the PG era. Think about it. If he was in the early 2000s, the Attitude Era, the Golden Era, you know what I mean? It would be different. Yeah. He's the face in the PG era, and he can't do everything that he should be able to do.
Well, Jeff is right on one thing. Oh, my fault. I apologize. Jeff is right on one thing. I have a 9-year-old daughter who does not watch wrestling. I don't even know. All I know is because we're separate, but I have her a lot. And I know one Monday I was watching Raw. I don't remember when it was, a few months ago, and it was some situation with Cena and Roman Reigns and someone else big, maybe Brock Lesnar. Or somebody major. It was 2 other guys in the ring. And my 9-year-old daughter walks in the living room and she goes, "Oh, look, Dad, John Cena and Roman Reigns are about to fight." And I looked at her, I'm like, you don't even watch this. But she knew who he was. And that's what the hardcores don't get. Vince is not thinking about us because guess what we're going to do every Monday? We're going to watch.
Yeah, that's the problem.
But he wants the mainstream people.
Yeah, I mean, would I tell people that don't like the Roman Reigns character and don't like the push, I would tell them, when Roman Reigns comes out, turn off the television, or if you're in the arena, leave the arena. Don't stay there. Don't make noise, because if you make noise, then you're justifying the push that Roman Reigns is getting. And it is basically like John Cena 2.0, where you have one group of fans that are booing him, and they're trying to make their voices heard. But then you have the Roman fans that are trying to drown out the boos. They're trying to cheer for Roman, and you have the two sides trying to get the other side to drown them out. They're trying to be louder than the other side. And I think Big Vito mentioned this. It is like Cena 2.0 with Roman Reigns. And I think that's where a lot of the frustration comes from with the fans. They're frustrated about the Roman character. I think he's a really good wrestler. I actually would say he's a great wrestler. I think he does his role really well. I think he has the right look and he has the right attitude. And I think the problem is that he is too much like a carbon copy of John Cena. And I can see why
I don't even
fans...
see it. I
Wait,
don't even
It
see
is.
it.
He's basically the superhero. It's
He's
the
not
template.
colorful.
It's like Hulk
But time
Hogan.
out.
Go ahead.
Okay, but
But
hold on.
they were
time out, time
colorful,
out.
Aaron. They were color. And David, I'll let you go.
Uh-huh.
Hogan was red and yellow. Cena was purple, green. Roman is black and gray, and that's the edge. There's so much more deep layers to Roman, and I'm telling you what, I see it. I've been a wrestling fan, Jeff, you too, for 30 plus years. I'm not trying to date us, but there is an edge. There is a deep edge in Roman Reigns that I didn't see in John Cena. Everybody's like, why did you hate John Cena so much?
I think we do see it sometimes. But
Okay,
I think more times than not, he's not really showing that edge that he really could be showing. He could be more of a different character than John Cena. What I'm trying to say is Hulk Hogan was a stereotypical babyface where he would overcome the odds, he would sell most of the match, he would make his big comeback at the end and win the match. Same thing with John Cena. They were always protected. Roman Reigns is the same thing. He falls into that same template as Hogan and John Cena, and I think that's where a lot of the fan resentment comes from.
Is it the same template as John Cena, or is it the same template of any baby? I'm a good guy. I don't know what they call them. Any baby face in wrestling. If you could go to New Japan Pro Wrestling and you'll see their top good guy, he will have to overcome the adversity because you got to remember it's scripted television. Roman Reigns, from day one. If you look at it, what they call Superman booking. All three of the Shield members, you got to beat the hell out of them to keep them down. That's not just for Roman. It's just that Dean and Seth may be able to get beat a little easier. But if you look at Roman's build, it doesn't make sense to you that you'd have to put him through a wall to put him down. Like, I look at him like, look at the guy. He doesn't look like somebody you could just punch a couple times, hit with a little super kick and lay him out. And he's always been that way. Seth is that way. Dean is that way. So I'm looking at going, yeah, Roman gets a little bit more because he's their number one guy. But what was he supposed to? My thing is not to like Roman, but I think it's whack when the fans won't even respect what he's doing in the ring. Fine. When I never thought he sucked. My favorite two guys in WWE is Kevin Owens and AJ Styles. I call him Kevin Steen and AJ Styles, and I've been the AJ Styles fans forever. Right. So I'm like, I know I'm not bugging when I go, these are my two favorite guys along with Roman Reigns. When I saw the Shield, I told all my friends, Seth is the best out of them all. But I like Roman. And here's one other thing. I think what's really corny with this new age wrestling fan is that, like, I grew up on brawlers. My favorites growing up was like Bruiser Brody. My favorite tag team was the Road Warriors. I didn't care about some guy doing 20 flips.
Did you ever watch much Stan Hansen?
Yes. I tell people all the time, you didn't know Ted DiBiase if you only saw him in WWE. Right. I don't know the Ted DiBiase in UWF. You didn't see. I remember when Hacksaw first picked up the 2x4 in UWF. You didn't see Dr. Death Steve Williams unless you watch him in UWF. I like brawlers, so I think there's room for brawlers, and Roman's a brawler. Do I think he should add more moves? Of course. Do I think Vince is being a jerk? Yes, he's being a jerk. Right. Roman should have had a heel run.
But that's what I'm saying. They're doing it like Hogan. They're purposely giving him, a limited moveset because they want him to be able to be identified with the younger fans. They want the younger fans to be able to recognize the moveset, and that's why he has that limited moveset. I'm sure Roman could do more.
But the problem with that is, Aaron, is that, David mentioned he has a daughter. I have a 9-year-old son. He's going to be 10 in April. He doesn't like Roman. He likes Baron Corbin, which doesn't make sense to me either.
I can see that, though. I can see that.
But Baron Corbin has the edge. He's got the badass attitude. He walks up there, does not give any crap about anybody. He wants to be the guy. He wants to be, as poorly booked as he's been the last year or so, Baron still comes out there and still has the attitude he's had when he was in NXT. He's still the same basic character that he was, back then. Roman came in as a badass with a badass group with him, and like you said, Aaron, he's been made to be not so much I think he's more in the vein of Austin in that he's He's a badass type dude, but he's got a heart of gold is what we're trying to be presented, which is not the case at all because Roman does not want to be that guy. It was very obvious to everybody, but Vince likes what he likes. The WWF has always been a babyface centric champion company.
And it's made them number one in the wrestling world.
Right.
And the only problem with that is when we finally had a great bad guy as the long-term champion, they crapped on Hunter for 2 years when he was the world heavyweight champion. So WWE can't win with their hardcore fans, so they have to appeal to the kids and try to get them to.
Well, as they should, really. I mean, the goal in the end is to create new fans and get new people watching the product. Now, David, I want to ask you, what do you think WWE could do with Roman Reigns to potentially get the hardcore fans behind him, or do you think there's nothing that could be done? Do you think it's a situation where you cannot please everyone?
I wouldn't do a damn thing. Screw them. They'll be all right. Because I'm going to tell you why. They don't even support who they claim to love. Why isn't AJ Styles merchandise flying out of the stores? Why are we, seriously, that's what annoys me about this hardcore audience is you hate Roman, but yet Finn comes out after his entrance. If we're honest, come on, man. And then after that's over, his match goes, and the crowd is okay.
Rusev Day shirts are killing the charts, so nobody's nobody's selling merch because Rusev Day shirts.
Well, keep in mind, I've also heard from people that they'll go to events and they won't even see merchandise from the other guys. It'll just be Reigns' stuff mainly out there. So I don't know.
Look at the face, Aaron. I've been to 4 events in the last 2 years. No, that's not true.
That's what haters. Yeah, did those same people that told you that take pictures of the merchandise stand where that's all it showed?
I actually have gotten pictures from people. So who knows?
Aaron, you and I went to Raw February last year. We saw it was a big Raw. They were heading to WrestleMania, heading to Fastlane. It was Roman merchandise. It was Cena merchandise. And it was Enzo and Cass. That's all we really saw as far as the big presentation was Enzo and Cass, Cena, and Roman.
I actually saw more Bullet Club merchandise at the last show I went to. No Mercy.
But Bullet Club in the stand. I'm talking about on the merchandise sales where they're actually, buy this stuff on the big wall or the big, display. It was Cena, it was Roman, and it was Enzo and Cass at the time because they hadn't broke up yet.
I've never seen more merchandise than so many Stone Cold shirts. So, so many variant NWO shirts. I mean, we can go back so many Cena shirts. Roman really hasn't had that much different merchandise because what he does have has still been selling. A lot of times a T-shirt will peak and then the sales will decline, and that's when Cena comes out with a purple shirt. With Roman, if you noticed, it's been pretty consistent. So
yeah, Aaron, it's funny you mentioned the Bullet Club, Aaron. I went to Disneyland and Universal twice last year. Every time I went to either park, either California Adventure, Disneyland Park, or Universal, I saw 2 Bullet Club shows each day.
There you go.
But
they're over for sure.
I still put it on the fans because as an example I like to use, Zack Ryder. I remember I never got Zack Ryder, but I just knew that this dude had an audience and they were behind him. And I look now and I go, we had the CM Punk audience that was more inclusive. They wanted to see the indie guys. Then in my humble opinion, the Daniel Bryan audience was kind of petulant. They just wanted what they wanted. And this what we have now is a continuation of that petulance. I just want what I want. But at least the Daniel Bryan audience got behind Daniel Bryan. This new audience over the last 5 or so years, they get behind no one. And they will excuse a Bray Wyatt for giving them whack-ass pay-per-views. They will excuse a Dean Ambrose for admitting he doesn't give them effort all the time, or he has to be motivated. They will excuse guys like Seth Rollins, who's been wrestling for 20 years, when he screws up promos. They'll say, the creative is wrong, this, that, the third, to make him robotic. But then when it's Roman, it's what Roman stinks. Roman's robotic. I'm like, Roman don't write his own promos. If anybody has their promos scripted, the most is Roman. So I think he should get credit for turning chicken crap and at least into a chicken sandwich. But he doesn't even get that. And I think that's whack.
Aaron, I have a new thing for the panel starting right now.
Okay.
NoDQ panel points for using words that no other panel guests use. He used petulant. Nobody says that word anymore. I love that word. That's a beautiful word. Good job.
Absolutely.
Thank you. That's why I describe him.
Panel points for petulant. There we go. I like
that's my only issue, and I promise you, I do not think anyone should like anybody at all. It's just the hypocrisy and the contradiction. And then when you're online, I don't know if you guys go online, but they will. If you say I like Roman Reigns, I've had my manhood attacked. I've been called gay. I don't even know what butthurt means, but I've been called that a million times. I mean, the stuff that they say, but then here's the beauty of it. Virtually real quick, here's the beauty of it. They're used to picking on the fans online, but then when they run into a guy like me and I start going back at him, then suddenly we get mature. Well, I'm allowed to have my own opinion. And
Yes,
I'm like, wait a minute,
that's what I was going to say. Yep.
A minute ago, I was a girly fanboy, but now you're mature and you can have your opinion. It's not right.
I've been accused of drinking the WWE Kool-Aid.
It's like what David just described is why I only have the NoDQ Forums shirt and I'm actually in the NoDQ Forums myself. Because those guys are, Aaron, I love you and I love NoDQ, but no. They're a bunch of trolls and they all either, and they're all very much, TNA centric, which I don't understand to this day.
Yeah.
But that's why we got Vito in there. Vito's taking care of them.
Vito said, I love it. You know what?
But it's
I
not
still
just
show
him.
with Vito, by the way, Aaron. I still have not done a panel with Vito. We
got to get you on. Yeah, definitely. Go ahead, David.
So that is my issue with the Roman Reigns haters is that I'm like, don't embellish. Like Aaron, you kind of did it the last one. That's why I had to pick up your challenge. Because this is what people do to Roman Reigns. Oh, this is what Aaron said. Aaron said, I don't dislike Roman. I think he's actually good. I mean, he's had some good matches depending on the opponent. I was like, what? So every time you give him a compliment, Aaron, you look like somebody sticking liver down your throat.
I'm going to tell you, I did not like the Undertaker.
This guy is on fire.
I did not like the Undertaker match, but you're right. A lot of that was the Undertaker, and we'll see if they do Cena versus Undertaker. We'll see if it's a better match. It's Undertaker's 1 year older. We'll see if John Cena.
That wasn't my point, Aaron. No, you saying he has some good matches depending on the opponent. Name me the last bad Roman Reigns match you've watched on Raw or on pay-per-view.
Well, Undertaker and Triple H are the two that come most to mind, and that's at WrestleMania. And unfortunately,
either one of those matches were bad. Like, seriously, does anybody really know what a bad match is? Maybe they weren't great, but they were not bad. That's the problem.
Oh, okay. If you're gonna go there, we're gonna go. Now you got me upset. Here we go.
Okay. Well, that's what we're here for.
Undertaker match did what it was supposed to do. It was supposed to get Roman over, and it was supposed to have the Undertaker have a nice send off at the very end. That's where we got at the end of that. Triple H and Roman Reigns. For some reason, Triple H found himself to be the champion because it's the only guy that could get Roman any credibility as a challenger according to WWE. But the problem is they crapped on both of them during that match. It wasn't that the match itself was bad. It was that WWE's not anticipating the reaction from the crowd. That's what made that match bad. And I don't care what you say. People have told me, that they disagree with my view on the fact that if you turn the volume off on Rock and Hogan, turn the crowd noise off, it's not a good match. And it's not. But if you change the crowd reaction during and after Roman Triple H for Roman Reigns, he is much better off fan-wise.
And I have a point to make. Real quick since I did have a background in television production. Let me explain to the fans something. You cannot pipe in on a live show cheers. You can't do it. You cannot. Like, I've seen people say, they were piping in cheers, and like clear as day behind Roman, there's like 20 people going. I'm like, well, what about the people cheering behind him? You can pipe it in like WWE has always done when they take their clips and put them on YouTube. That's not new to Roman. Right. They've always done that. But during a live show, I've literally.
One thing that they have done is, from what I've been told, is that they've turned down the audio when Reigns is getting booed to hide the boos.
You can't hide them. You're going to still hear it. You're going to hear it.
It's electric, though. I've been in an arena with Roman getting booed and cheered, and I
have too, and then I turn on Raw, and it sounds like it's a lot quieter.
I appreciate the background in television, David, but it was been proven that WCW piped in Goldberg chants, especially toward the end, because you could tell, even in a big old arena, they would show the crowd.
The March 99 Nitro in Toronto when it was Bret Hart and Goldberg, and Goldberg was coming
everybody in that freaking Air Canada Center was all up Bret Hart's jock, and they're hearing Goldberg chants. Like, no.
But I'll tell you why I say that. Because Roman gets booed so hard that if they're piping in cheers, then they need to fire that audio technician. The boos are so prevalent that it's like,
Yeah.
well, you're doing a sorry job, dog, so you need to be fired.
Yeah, I
So,
never thought they were piping in crowd cheers for Roman. I just know for a fact they did it with Billy Boy.
Here's my take on Roman Reigns. Today, in today's wrestling, the boos are the new cheers. That's exactly what it is. The boos are today's cheers. And then the people that are booing Roman think they hate him, and you're popping and marking out for him. You don't know it.
Are you saying they voted Roman as the worst superstar of the year because they actually love the guy and they love to hate him?
I mean, I swear, it's a weird dynamic.
It is a weird dynamic.
It truly is. Like at some points, it's unexplainable.
I mean,
I bet you half of them that voted will then tell you, if they just turn Roman to a heel, I'll like him.
Exactly.
So Virtue's right.
Which is weird because if he goes heel, then people are going to cheer the guy, and then it's just the whole thing doesn't even make sense.
Yeah. Oh.
When Ric Flair inducted Roddy Piper in 2005, because I got to go to that ceremony myself, I remember Rick distinctly saying that Roddy went with Flair to the islands, the Caribbean islands, to draw Flair heat. And they were not going to go back. They were not going to go back to the islands again with Flair as champion. So Roddy, caused this huge riot. And the whole time he's saying, we got to draw money, We're not coming back here, Roddy. Don't care. Got to draw money. It's like, if you're drawing the money, if you're drawing the reaction, if you're like Roddy and get stabbed because you're drawing a reaction, then you've got the people right here. And that's what Roman has, period. Whether you like the guy, whether you hate the guy, as long as you're not indifferent, it doesn't matter the reaction you get. If you're indifferent toward the guy, then they have a problem.
Yeah. As a fan, I totally agree. I just think, again, my problem is the hypocrisy. I mean, today, the best talkers in WWE are all heels. All of them. Seth Rollins is a good guy now. I'm bored. I don't even know who this guy is that comes out. So I'm like, name me a good guy that's a great talker, not named John Cena, and I'll go, okay. But so I'm like, so how was it on Roman Reigns? I've watched Finn Balor go out there and stumble over his lines, and I'm going, you've been doing this for 20 some odd years. What's your excuse for this?
Well, you know what? There was no excuse when Cesaro came out and said he was the best wrestler to ever step through those 4 ropes. I called him out on it, and Cesaro definitely stumbled there, and I think Vince took notice to that.
Thank God they did something with him and Sheamus, man. I also think the audience is impatient. Like, they're going to totally blow the woken Matt Hardy character because I see what they're trying to do. They're going slow with it, but I'm like, I see the fans already complaining. I'm like, you know what? I tell fans all the time, you talk Attitude Era, you would have never made it. There's no way Al Snow and Head would have never made it today because you actually had to wait to realize what it was about. Half of the storylines was like over a 3, 4, 5 week period, but nowadays everybody wants it like next week. So I'm like, half of the storylines that we claim to have love from the Attitude Era today will never make it because the fans don't have the patience.
Yep.
Yeah. The fans that WWE has generated through their post-Attitude Era storylines are the impatient ones you just mentioned, David. They want instant gratification. It's like, no. Remember when there were 4 pay-per-views and we had to wait 4 or 5 months for a storyline resolution? Like, where is that?
Yeah.
Because Vince is greedy.
And I remember Triple H, in 1996 when he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, the crowd did not care about him. And imagine if it was today, they'd say, fire this guy. He sucks. And even as late as 97, I remember on Raw there was a fan sign that said Hunter Hearst Helmsley mid-card for life. And then next year he's in the main event. So, it just takes time for some guys.
It took the years to like. I didn't like Triple H until, believe it or not, he lost to John Cena. And I think it was WrestleMania. That was the first time I ever watched a match. I said, okay. Wow. I wasn't a fan of Shawn Michaels, but that's because I'm biased because I think the Rock and Roll Express is like the second greatest tag team ever, and the Rockers were a cheap ripoff. So I always hated him for that. I'm sorry, Shawn Michaels. But
you're not sorry. Don't lie. You're not sorry. Don't lie.
No, because I appreciate him, and I think that's all my issue really is to give Roman his appreciation, bro. Like, even when his brother died, I thought it was so foul to read online. People like, I don't care. I'm like, wow, bro.
Well, there was one guy that was just making fun of Rosie's death, and actually he was blaming. He's saying NoDQ.com report this or some crap. This guy was just completely making fun of it, which was just out of line.
At the end of the day, Roman has not quite X-Pac heat, because some people actually do like Roman.
Well, clearly a lot do. When I
Clearly a lot
posted
do,
the poll
but
results, I was just bombarded with tons of upset people.
Aaron, you kind of lead the haters on, bro. Come on, man. That's why I be getting on you sometimes. I'm like, yo, Aaron, man, you kind of, you know,
Hey.
you throw your compliments are back with the back of your hand. Great show. Slap.
Hey,
yo, Aaron,
controversy
Can we?
controversy creates cash.
I did not endorse Roman Reigns for worst superstar of the year. I said people should cut him slack. You know, he actually had good matches. I said it on the video, and
then you came with your egg all like, come on.
No,
when we
seriously,
did,
I'm not. I'm like, dude, Jinder Mahal had a way worse year. Jinder Mahal should have gotten that.
I understood that too. He reminded me of when Jack Swagger had the title. I didn't get why people were so upset with that. I was like, yo, what is wrong with Jinder Mahal holding his title? What is he doing wrong? Like, it's crazy to me.
Because he was booked as enhancement talent for 8 months, and then all of a sudden he's being pushed as a main eventer.
David, at the end of the day, Jinder Mahal went from getting eliminated at a Battle Royal at WrestleMania from a football player
on the pre-show
to being on the pre-show at WrestleMania at that to being WWE champion just a couple months later. It just made no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, there has to be
wrestling really makes sense.
I know, but, you know, if you watch a movie, even like an over-the-top movie like Marvel, you know, you still want to be able to suspend disbelief and be able to put yourself in the story, and there has to be some sort of suspension of disbelief.
Common sense. You know,
even in the over-the-top theatrical world of wrestling, you need to have some kind of rules and some kind of ability to be able to suspend disbelief.
And I agree with that. I agree. It's like I hear people that are calling for Braun to win at the Royal Rumble, and I keep asking them, I'm like, if you know that Vince is going to do with Roman what he's going to do, what is going to happen to Braun the next year? Because trust me, believe you me, I think Vince is going to have Roman break CM Punk's streak.
Wouldn't shock
so
me.
That
you know what's funny? If Braun Strowman got the Roman Reigns push, I feel like the fans would turn on Braun Strowman.
They totally would, because he'd be I said it to the very top of the panel. If you are the anointed one, the office will be behind you, but the hardcore fans and maybe even some of the younger fans, like my son's age, will crap on them because I don't like that Vince is telling me who I have to root for.
Yeah, remember how the Shield was loved before, and then 2014 happened, and Batista was the anointed one for that year's WrestleMania, and then we had the Daniel Bryan backlash, and the fans got what they wanted. So then all of a sudden the niche fans are like, "Hey, we just have to ask for what we want with cheers," and that hurt Roman.
Yeah,
Roman.
I do think some of these fans are from the Attitude Era, and you have to keep in mind, back in the Attitude Era, WCW was winning the Monday Night War, and Vince had no choice but to go with the guy that the fans wanted pushed, like Steve Austin. Before that, Vince could shove Hulk Hogan down people's throats. He could shove Lex Luger down people's throats. Now he can push whoever he wants because WWE is a monopoly and it's the only game in town. During the Attitude Era, Steve Austin was the guy that organically got over, and fans feel like that's how it should be now, but that's not how it works.
But Aaron, Steve Austin was great in WCW. He just didn't get the push. So I think Steve Austin got over because he got over, not because some fans said we're getting you over.
Sorry, David, go ahead.
No, first of all, I put the blame squarely at the feet of WWE because the one thing they didn't do was allow Roman to grow. Like I always thought, and I said, and when they had the Royal Rumble, which was idiotic to have Daniel Bryan enter, but they did it. Then I said to myself, well, you know what? If they're smart, what they'll do is have Roman and Daniel be aggressive towards one another. But to pull the fans either to not boo Roman or to appreciate the storyline, I thought during that whole Royal Rumble, they should have helped each other and made sure it was just the two of them, and then have Roman win, kind of how Undertaker beat Shawn Michaels, where Daniel does some crazy flips him over, and then they go fight.
Hard fought battle, like it was an epic back and forth battle. I get what you're saying completely. You know, I think one of the problems too was like Reigns also got pushed too fast. Like I remember towards the end of 2014, he got injured in the summer, and then all of a sudden he comes back and he enters himself into the Royal Rumble without really having any kind of great one-on-one match. If he had all these great matches, like with the Big Show, with Braun Strowman, if he had all these kind of matches first and then got the main event push, I think there wouldn't have been the backlash. It was part Daniel Bryan being in the mix as well.
I was going to say, I think the biggest backlash toward any top babyface right now in WWE is the fact that the Daniel Bryan experiment, his body failed him.
Yes.
I think
what?
that, I think if Bryan had been able to be world champion for as long as WWE wanted to be champion and been able to carry the title for a while like they wanted him to, maybe until SummerSlam when Brock beat him instead of Cena, it could have been, well, we got our guy to be champion. Now we got Brock as champion. That's okay. But the fact of the matter is, Bryan got hurt. He lost the title. He got stripped of it, and then they put it right back on Cena. It was like, oh God, here we go again. And then Brock just destroyed Cena. Aaron, you and I were there for that. It was the worst main event beating I've ever seen, and it killed Cena's credibility for a while too. So the fact is, we got our guy, and then it was taken away from us, out of our control, out of WWE's control, even because Bryan's body failed him. So now it's like, we don't care anymore.
And Jeff, you know what everybody fails to realize? Roman took a great beating at the first 3 quarters of that match at WrestleMania 31 from Brock.
He really did.
That was a very good match they had going before the surprise cash-in even happened.
Well, that was a really good, hard-hitting, back-and-forth battle. They beat the dog out of each other.
Roman was bleeding.
Roman was bleeding. I think even Brock got some color too.
Brock was bleeding first. He was the first guy I've seen open Brock up a little bit. I've never seen Cat
and the fact of the matter is, nobody cares about either one of those guys being in that match now, because the last 3 minutes of the match were all about what it was all about.
Well, can I say one thing? I will say this too. From day one, I thought that Seth was the best out of the 3. I knew who Dean was, but to me, he was like a crazy ECW type of dude. Like, you need knives and stuff to make yourself interesting. But the first time I heard the music, I looked at Roman and said, that music fits him. The outfits, I said, that fits Roman. I would have changed it a little bit, and I would have tweaked the music, but that music didn't fit Seth. It didn't fit Dean. It fit Roman.
Yeah,
and same thing with the look.
Fans did.
I would have actually went. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, fans did resent Roman using the Shield's music. I think they should have changed it, like you said. I think they should have given him a new song with lyrics or something. Maybe just rework the song. Like with Batista?
I would have kept it. I would have just changed that version of it.
Like Batista, when they added lyrics to his song.
That's a badass song.
I think they could have just reworked it with lyrics and made it a badass song. How could you boo a guy who has a badass theme song?
Now, I've always said though, the way that they did, what's my man on the Lone Wolf? We were just talking about him.
Baron Corbin.
The funny thing is, to me, that should be who Roman should have been. The Lone Wolf. He comes out kind of dressed like that. He, the whole big dog thing, that's cool. But I was like, nah, actually, Baron Corbin has your personality, who Roman Reigns should be.
Baron Corbin is my son's favorite, and I've kind of, like I said earlier, and I've let Baron's kind of growing on me too. I don't understand the hate for Baron Corbin, but I get that, he's not a badass like WWE wants him to be, so they kind of just push him off to the side, which is stupid because Baron has it in him to be a top guy, but they've already got a top badass. They got Roman Reigns. Yeah. They got that top badass on SmackDown. They got Kevin Owens. So.
Yeah, I just don't think Roman gets the credit for his selling. In the ring, I think he sells too much sometimes. There was no way that Elias should have made him look like they could hang, but he did. And I think he does a good job at storytelling. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves for what he does in ring at all. He's a brawler. He's not going to, for instance, I still say, and I'm glad AJ Styles did that interview. AJ Styles' first feud in WWE was with Chris Jericho. And I'm a huge fan, and I thought it was boring. But when he fought Roman, in particular the second program, Roman, and he said it in an interview, and I agreed, Roman allowed him to be a more aggressive AJ Styles, which is who we see right now that we love. That was Roman. So you can go to all these different people and go, Roman brought that out of them. Roman helped make that person. Roman helped make that person.
I also think AJ brought a lot out of Roman and made Roman look really good. And that's why AJ ultimately got over with Vince and why AJ got the big main event push and won the title. I think a lot of that was due to AJ's performances in the matches with Roman.
But that should be expected. He's a veteran. Yeah. See what I'm saying? I think it's more impressive that Roman helped Braun, because let's not forget our history, revise it. When Braun was having those squash matches, people were like, unless he did something major, everyone was boring. The first time he fought Big Show.
Not necessarily. I think people were into Braun.
Now, I won't say everyone, but it was the vibe. The crowd was uneven. Okay. And then the first time he fought Big Show, the crowd was
I don't think it was necessarily Reigns. I think it was more the fact that Braun was just doing crazy stuff, like pushing over an ambulance. It doesn't matter if it was Reigns in the ambulance or if it was Elias or Big Show.
Yeah, I think people were hesitant with Braun because he was doing the squash jobber match. People were like, okay, whatever. But then when like David said,
He's dope, by the way. He's dope.
When they put him against the Big Show, when they had him doing the crazy stunts you mentioned, Aaron, it wasn't so much a force and a throw. It became an organic type of situation, which is very un-Roman like in the fans' eyes. So we kind of gravitated towards Strowman because we watched him get himself over with the jobber squat, okay, whatever. But then
Which
he
is
started,
funny,
facing
because
the
Reigns
veterans.
pretty much is a heel to these fans. The fact that Strowman can beat him up and the crowd's like, "Thank you, Strowman." That pretty much shows
exactly.
Yeah,
that's cool. I love it.
The force-fed push baby face by Vince McMahon is the new heel in wrestling today. That's why I said boos are the new cheers.
Yeah, so David, I want to ask you about Jason Jordan. So what do you think about what they're doing with his character right now? It feels like they're trying to do the same thing with him as Roman Reigns, where the force-fed babyface is the new heel. What do you think about this new trend?
Jason Jordan is such a jerk off, yo, and I love him. He is a prick, and I'm just dying laughing. Like, y'all see, like, when he walked in the ring one day,
David, my buddy and I, we're starting to like him because he's like, it's that hanging with the cool guy champions, being obnoxious daddy's boy. We're starting to like it.
He's a jerk, and I'm like, there's no way he can be a good guy.
And now that Jeff just went, I'm starting to like it even more.
Yeah, but I think talent-wise, Jason Jordan is great. Do I think he's better than Uhaa Nation? What's my man's name? What do they call him in WWE now?
Apollo
Crews. No, he's not. But I'm not mad at it because he's such a jerk to me that I'm just kind of like, all right, he's entertaining to me, but what I want to watch and what I pay to see him, no, I wouldn't pay to see him at all. But I'm not mad at what they're doing with Jason Jordan. It's entertaining to me because I think he's just such a jerk. So
Virtue,
who is this kid?
To defend my face, it's not so much Jason himself, it's the fact that Vince seems to believe that he's Rocky Maivia 2.0. He comes
I knew that's where you were going with that.
Baby face, and the fans boo. So I'm just gonna be this dark character. It's like, no, Jason, we like you because you're athletic, not because you're Kurt Angle's son and because you're being a prick. Be the athletic guy. Be the champion you can be. Don't gravitate just because it worked for The Rock. It's not going to work for Jason Jordan.
He's getting a bigger reaction than a lot of people on the roster right now. I mean, when I was at No Mercy, Jason Jordan got a lot of noise. People were making noise when the guy came out.
I think it's going to turn into X-Pac heat very quick, though, for him.
Yeah, I can see it turning into a situation where the fans just start not responding to him.
Well,
I won't say X-Pac heat. I don't know what that is, but
I see a future program with Jason Jordan and Roman Reigns, and I'm calling it now. I don't know when.
I feel like Jason Jordan's the one guy that'll get Roman over as a babyface with the hardcore fans.
But why try to get him over? Like, what is that about? For who? Why am I going to try to get Roman over at this point? Listen, you have a guy that goes to your site, and I'm gonna give him some shine that he probably never gets. His name is Mary Melody's Fan, and the fans are just like him that hate Roman. They say no matter. This guy said Roman could save my child from a burning building, and I will still boo him. So why would you waste your time trying to get somebody who says I'm not going to cheer for him to cheer? Nah, I think they should keep going about that they're going with Roman. Bump it, because the beauty of it is, it only takes, maybe 10 years to change the thought process of a generation. He has about 20 more years. Eventually, he's going to do a program that's going to catch people's attention, and then he'll be what they want him to be. Because he's almost there. He's standing at the edge of it. But it's just that Vince is holding him
They need to let him freestyle, and Roman has not been able to freestyle anything yet.
Look at the Usos. Look at the Usos this past year when they turned heel and they started going out there and doing their own thing. I mean, they got so entertaining in such a short period of time. It was really amazing how the crowd went from hating the Usos because they were, Roman's cousins or whatever, and now all of a sudden they're doing their own thing, and the crowd loves them. I mean, they're universally loved now. It's unbelievable.
But it's easy to be a heel, Aaron. The real test is if you can be a good guy. All a heel is what most of the Roman haters do. They go online to be someone that they're not in real life. I've had dudes say things to me that I'm like, dog, I know for a fact if we were face to face, you would never say this. But you're playing a heel role, so I get it. That's the easiest thing to do. That's why I want to see turn Braun into a babyface. Let's see how long he lasts on that mic. Let's see how well he does his matches when he can't power slam you through a table. He can't throw you off the ledge. He can't tip over the ambulance because that's not what good guys do. It's easy to be a heel. It's easy to be a heel.
Exactly.
David, for argument's sake, if they ever did have the cojones, if Vince his grapefruits were as big as he says they are, and he did want to push Roman heel, something that they never did with Cena. And I'm not counting the early.
Cena started out as a heel.
But I'm talking after he became the top guy, never went heel again. But if they did that with Roman, and just to finally say, all right, we're going to do it, put him with the Usos and Nia Jax, and just literally make a Roman empire and make Roman like the guy with his people with him. To me, that would be NWO.
I wouldn't do that.
I'm serious, but I would
do it. I'd let Roman be by himself and give the middle finger to every. Do you know how I would turn Roman heel and I would keep?
But it's PG. They're not going to do that with the middle finger. I see where you're going, though.
What I would do to turn Roman heel is I would have Roman apologize to his fans, but be like, I'm sick of this. I can't go anywhere with my family. My family's attacked. And if this is what you want, this is what you're going to get. And I would have Roman go after everybody, the fans, the hardcore love, and demolish. And he would tell his fans, blame the guy next to you booing. And that would create such a
what it sounds like? It sounds like Bret Hart in 1997 after WrestleMania when he turned on the American fans. That was a great storyline, and it was a situation where Bret wasn't necessarily a bad guy. He was just a heel to the American fans. I'd love that with Roman. I want to see something shocking. I think part of the problem with Roman is people feel it's very predictable now. They feel like, every Roman Reigns match, he always kicks out at 2. Again, it's just like John Cena. He's always kicking out at 2. I know for me personally, I watch a Roman Reigns match, and the thing about it is, when I'm watching it, I feel like, he's going to kick out, he's going to kick out. Now, granted, it does work with the live crowd. The crowd still buys into the near falls, but I guess maybe because I've been watching for so long, when I watch it, I feel like, okay, I know he's going to kick out at 2, and I kind of lose interest. So that, I feel like, is part of the problem. I
think he needs someone to work with him. Like, I agree with you.
He needs Vince McMahon, an angle with Vince McMahon, and Roman needs an angle with Vince.
I mean behind the scenes, someone, because I think like he'll kick out, and I'm like, Roman, you wait for 2.5 to kick out on the first fall. Like, bro, there's times you kick out at a half of 1.
That's actually a great point. I noticed that on Raw this week. Yeah, like the first fall of the match, like a minute in, he waited till 2.5 to kick out.
That's what they do in New Japan too. So maybe he's just trying to. I mean, I swear everything.
Shouldn't the guys be kicking out at 1 for the first several minutes of the match, and then slowly as the match goes on, weaker and weaker?
I think Roman.
That's the whole thing. There's no psychology being driven anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think Roman's a badass enough to where sometimes he should legitimately no-sell something that's. I think like smaller guy, like a Finn Balor, should have to punch Roman in the face 3 times before Roman even takes a knee. I do. I'm like, yo, just play that role up. You a badass, and it takes a lot to put you down. But I think he oversells. But the beauty of everyone hating Roman is they've now trained him that the only way he knows how to go in the ring is 110%. And I say thank you for that, because if they had liked Roman, he probably would be Dean Ambrose right now.
And a lot of those Roman haters, David, want to see Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar.
I don't.
I know, but a lot of those Roman haters, that's what they want. Give me that, not Roman.
This is not Prince Devitt we're watching. We're watching Finn Balor. Prince Devitt was bad as I don't know what. This guy, I'm like, oh, geez, who is this guy? So he's done nothing to make me think that Finn Balor is this great guy in WWE. I'm waiting for it. His best matches. One was against Roman, and the other was someone else he faced AJ Styles. But that's AJ now. You know what? I apologize, AJ Styles. I take him for granted. I apologize. He's so good that I'm just like, he's a guy that played basketball. I know you'll get your 25 a night, and I apologize. But AJ's just the baddest in the game. So, the 4 of us could go on a fatal 5-way and look like superstars with him too. So, but I just think that Roman needs help. I think he needs someone behind the scenes to help him. Like, if I was a producer, the first time I ever met him, I would say, who is Roman Reigns? And if he took a second to stutter, I would say, never mind, go home, tomorrow come back to me with 10 attributes that are positive, 10 that are negative. Yep. That's the only issue with Roman. I think that because of Vince, he's still trying to figure out. But then guess what? That's him, that's Seth, that's Bray. I mean, I can name a bunch of top guys that well, who the hell are you? Because we don't know. Like, to me, Seth should be so much further than he is, but he's not. Like, this version of Seth is boring. I didn't even like the Slimy Hill. I was like, you're no Edge. Edge played the ultimate Slimy Hill champ. Seth was like, who are you?
Again, it was like a carbon copy of previous gimmicks, them just trying to recreate him as the anti good guy. He was pretty much the corporate heel, the same gimmick we've seen over and over again with Seth Rollins. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, and they totally botched his face turn for sure. I mean, they were making him whiny
Yes.
and
Yes.
unlikable. The good guys are supposed to be likable.
Yes.
So yeah, I completely agree about Rollins for sure.
I think they were scared because I think wasn't at some point when he came back that it would have clashed with what they were trying to do with Roman. But I would have said forget it. Let them cheer Seth over Roman. It's all good because you get it back on the other end. Because now I'm looking at Seth like, bro, I'm bored. Like I almost hate when he comes out. Like, oh, here comes Seth. He's going to say a bunch of nothing.
Let me ask everybody this, since we're talking about Roman Reigns. If you were to start your own wrestling company, the WWFE, whatever, and you had to pick one person from Raw or SmackDown or NXT, number one pick, who would you pick?
Young guy, old guy?
Anybody. Anybody that's currently active.
I'm gonna go with Kevin Owens. Like honestly speaking, I love Kevin, man. That's my guy. I'm gonna use Kevin Owens.
Well, good thing we don't have Vito on here. Vito would respectfully disagree with you. I love Kevin Owens too. I mean,
is that your answer, Aaron? Kevin
Owens?
No,
actually, my answer would be AJ Styles.
I refrain from choosing AJ. It's not fair. I'm not going to choose AJ. I'll let someone else choose.
So we got AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, Jeff.
I was going to say AJ too. So yeah, it's.
I mean, that's the obvious choice.
Everybody knows
that. Everybody knows that except for Dixie.
Dixie and I would argue with any of those. Like I could literally see me choosing what you guys chose, but I would go with Roman Reigns.
I'm not mad at that.
I would pick Roman Reigns even over Braun Strowman. I do really like Braun, and he's getting up to that level of like. But I would choose Roman Reigns because of that pure, like I keep saying the term decibel meter, that pure decibel meter emotion that he draws out of an arena and the reactions he gets from trolls online. I would start it with Roman.
But is that him or is that how he's being booked? That's the big question.
I would start it with Roman, and because it's my wrestling company, then I can book him how I want. So
yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean?
I mean, I would like to see Reigns be able to cut better promos, but maybe he's just not capable. We really don't know. I don't know if he's really been tested. Like I said earlier with the Usos, once those guys were allowed to go out there and do their thing, they really shined. Maybe the same could happen with Roman Reigns. I don't know. I don't know if WWE's holding
Roman's
back
been a heel before. I've seen him on video where I think it was FCW or NXT where he played this smarmy, arrogant, rich dude, and he was like he reminded me of MVP actually.
I just want to see him, just have more attitude and just have a little bit more of an edge and maybe not kick out at 2.5, constantly like John Cena. Other than that, I think Reigns is great, and I definitely think the NoDQ fans got it wrong by voting him as the worst superstar.
They absolutely did.
No way. He's nowhere near the worst superstar.
Yeah,
like there's a bunch of guys you don't see on TV.
Of course, I'm gonna tweet it out and I'm gonna at Roman to get the people worked up because it's controversy. So, I admit it. I
know, Aaron.
I'm a shit stirrer. I mean, I admit it. But people coming out at me saying your site's terrible and all this. It wasn't my choice, folks.
But I mean, like, if we really chose a worst superstar of the year, Jinder Mahal's 2017 is well documented. That should have went over Roman. Why not a James Ellsworth? I mean, what define worst? You know what I mean?
Would say the worst superstar of the year is the guy.
Nothing against James Ellsworth, but you know what I mean.
It's a poll. Yeah. People are like, don't take it so seriously. It's just a website poll.
I would think the worst superstar is the one who doesn't get any airtime. Like literally, if you're getting on television, you're not a worse anything at all.
Right. Yep.
You're not even Ellsworth. Like he proved, I think they went wrong with Ellsworth. Like, there's no way he's supposed to be AJ Styles.
He was a total fluke. Total fluke.
Ever. He was supposed to win like count out on AJ.
Yeah,
like I think he pinned him with something crazy, and I was like, that's AJ Styles.
Yeah, no.
Like we're still, to me, again the hypocrisy. We're still waiting for Bray Wyatt. At what point are the hardcore is going to just admit that maybe Bray isn't what we thought he was?
Exactly.
But yeah, we do Roman. And we're waiting, and we're waiting.
Again, I think part of it is how he's been booked. I think, they had him lose so many big, high-profile matches that people really lost faith in. That's part of the problem. I think the other part of the problem is his promos were just the same thing every week. I think he's a really interesting character and unique, but I think too often his promos were the same thing every week. I think it needed to change a little bit, and he needed to evolve. We haven't really seen his character evolve. Like with The Undertaker, The Undertaker would continuously evolve his character.
Yes.
I don't think we've seen that with
Yeah.
Bray Wyatt. His character's been
Aaron.
basically the same exact thing for 4 years now, 5 years.
They need guys like Bray Wyatt need to break the fourth wall. I mean, he needs to start coming out and telling people, you know what, everybody knows who I really am. I mean, and they just don't do that. They're so set on, Vince McMahon's be your character, be Bray Wyatt. But if he came out and did a promo and had Barry Windham and IRS in that discussion and Blackjack Mulligan and all those guys, I think people could get behind that. It's the CM Punk stuff. It worked for CM Punk. He cut a shoot promo that they let him do, and it made him a superstar. Like, he was already a star.
Wasn't CM Punk already on fire? Because I think I was even
He was a star, but that promo made him a superstar. Seriously, he was already good, but it made him great. But wrestlers are always one shoot promo away of being remembered forever. Seriously.
Yeah, that was why they put him to like rock star status. Go ahead.
I think that Bray should have beaten Undertaker at WrestleMania. That's why I think they completely blew it. Bray should have beaten Undertaker.
I go a year earlier. He should have beat John Cena at WrestleMania 30.
Yep,
that's what I think.
Yep.
So at this point, the hope is that this woken Matt Hardy Bray Wyatt thing works out. But getting back to Roman Reigns, my only issue is, at first, I'm not a fan supporter. Like, I'm a supporter of No DQ, which means through the good times and bad times, I'm gonna still rock with you. A fan is short for fanatic, so I'm there when it's hot, and I'm there. Yeah, I'll give you some hood love, bro. I'll be telling the brothers like, yo, man, come check this site out. I was about to get me a T-shirt, Aaron, but I forgot to get one, man.
That's okay.
I'm gonna get one though. I'm gonna get one of those. But no, I just think that Roman just catches a raw deal, and that the embellishments and outright lies that fans, they'll recreate history to fit their point of a lie they're telling, and I'm like, nah, that's not cool. Yeah. That's my only issue. It's just get a man credit without saying some opponents he faces, or he was carried, because no one says he carried Braun, which he did in my opinion, and no one said he carried Elias. But then someone's always carrying Roman. Roman's terrible with promos when none of these new guys can cut promos because they don't do what they used to do. Because I guess the days of the territories is over, where you had to go to different places and learn how to fit in. So so a lot of the issues is not a Roman thing; it's a WWE
I agree
thing.
on that completely.
Yeah, is he catching so much?
I agree, absolutely.
Case in point on Roman carrying Strowman in 2017. Then Strowman had his one-on-one match with Lesnar, and it underdelivered. It underwhelmed.
Way underdelivered.
Nothing. That's the fact. People know that.
Yep.
Exactly.
Then you put him back in the program with Roman, he's fire again. So I'm like, at some point, like, truthfully, this WrestleMania, I think, with Roman and Brock, if it happens, was really supposed to be the third of a trilogy where Roman finally beats Brock Lesnar. But the fans crapped on the storyline so much they had to change. And it was a story. Roman thought he was ready. Brock was like, you're not ready. But you put up a good fight. They were supposed to fight a second time with Brock probably beats him again. And now this is really supposed to be Roman's big coming out where he beats Brock finally at WrestleMania. But because of the fans destroying the storyline, they had to go a bunch of different routes just to get to the same conclusion anyway that they're going to have.
I mean, I'm thinking it will, because look back at SummerSlam. Roman took the fall in that match. Brock beat him. So
yeah. And then he eats the pins all the time. So I'm like, where's his respect, dog? Like, he will eat the pin. This dude rarely ever wins pay-per-views. If you really look, he has a record almost like The Rock did. The Rock didn't win a lot. If you look at his wins and losses, The Rock stayed losing, like, in major matches. Right. And Roman's very similar. Like, he doesn't win all the time. He just will win on Raw. But it's like, it's like he can't win.
He doesn't.
And then when he loses.
I think that SummerSlam match was the only time he's actually lost clean, though, since he started getting this big push. There might have been a few times, but anytime he does lose, it's usually due to outside interference, which is fine because...
I'm nitpicking.
Didn't Finn Balor beat him on a Raw?
Yes.
Yes, he did, but that was when Reigns got suspended. If he wasn't suspended, I don't think that would have ever happened.
Right. You don't think so?
I don't think that would have happened if Reigns wasn't suspended.
They was putting a lot of light behind Finn at the time, but I won't argue that. But so Roman Reigns fans, we're actually winning, but somehow we've allowed the Roman haters to make us think that we're behind in the game. I'm like, get out of here, dog, because my favorite wrestler, I know he's gonna highlight the program, so I don't have to watch Raw until he's on, and then I could turn to whatever else I want to do. My favorite guy holds the title. So I don't see how I'm losing. How WWE, I mean, how a lot of those hardcore fans think that we are. I'm like, no, we're not. As a matter of fact, we shouldn't be arguing with the people that hate Roman Reigns because we're winning. I'm too busy looking at my Roman Reigns jerseys.
There you go. So, I mean, we had a great discussion here. This went over an hour just talking about Roman Reigns. So, you guys,
For the most part.
you guys watching on NoDQ and on YouTube, you'll have a chance to give your thoughts on the video. I'm sure David will be ready, willing, and able to respond to your comments. I'm sure he'll be on there. So, this is your chance. Whatever you have to say about Roman Reigns, go on there, leave your feedback. We'll all respond. I'm sure Jeff will, Virtue will. You guys have something to say, go ahead and say it. I'm eager to know what people think about this video. I thought it was one of our best panel videos ever. David, you were a great guest today. You brought a lot of great insight to the Roman Reigns situation. I want to thank you very much for being on today. It was much appreciated. And anything you would like to plug or promote? Did we lose him?
We lost him.
Oh,
After
crap,
all that.
we lost him right at the end. Darn it!
Oh, bummer. All right, well, Aaron, let's wrap it up then.
Aaron will put it in the comments.
Oh, he left. All right, well, I'll be sure to plug his Twitter account on the NoDQ site and the YouTube channel, so you guys can leave feedback for him. As usual, Jeff, your plugs?
_ Jeff Meacham, Twitter and Instagram, and Wrestling Trivia Challenge. I am the reigning champion, as we know.
And Virtue?
Yay.
Follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue.
And I'll make sure to plug David's Twitter, of course, and leave your guys' thoughts. I'm sure he'll be responding to people, so leave your thoughts. And that'll do it for this edition of the NoDQ panel. What a great video we had here today. Definitely,
absolutely, it was fun.
Definitely we'll get some people talking. Whether you love Roman or whether you hate him, no doubt you're talking about him. And that'll do it for the NoDQ panel. We will see you guys next time.